balling is kind of why we're in this predicament we're in.
No question.
Is that a fair argument?
I see it that way. I've observed it that way over the last decade. I feel like all the high-performing individuals that, when I say high-performing individuals, I mean people who aspire to more, people who are out building it, people who are doing things, people who, you may not be a multimillionaire, you may just be starting out, but you're still a high-performance person. You're working to be. I feel like we've grown in such an environment over the last decade, really about the last 15 years, for entrepreneurship. People say, wow, what about 2008? 2008 was one of the best times for building a business that there ever was. Sure, a lot of people lost their shit. There was tremendous opportunity in it, just like there's tremendous opportunity to build things right now. When everybody else stops and you keep going, you get to gap out against those people automatically by just continuing to move. So there's tremendous opportunity then and now. And I feel like over the between 2008 and now, times were so pretty much, I don't think a lot of people had really woken up to a lot of the truly tyrannical shit that has been going on in our government. I think up until the last couple of years, they did a pretty good job of hiding it to where I'm not saying it didn't exist. It's just that like all of us who were out here building, creating, wanting to do awesome stuff, we stopped paying attention to what was going on in the world, right? We kind of just figured, well, fuck, it is what it is. It's pretty good. I don't really want to mess with that. And dude, that's true, right? We should dedicate all of our energy, because the truth of the matter is that where you put your energy and your focus is where you're going to see fruit grow. And when we obsess over politics and we obsess over the environment and we obsess over the socio-political goings on of the day, you're in a negative feedback loop. So you're in a negative thought feedback loop. So what's happening for you is that you have identified these negative things that you were looking at, and when the thing happens, you're saying, "See, I fucking told you, right?" Which sets an expectation. You get what you expect. This is how the universe works. When I talk about law of attraction, visualization, oftentimes I also talk about expecting the result, okay? So what happens is we develop this perspective of looking at things and saying, "Whoa, this always happened to me, this fucked up." And then the next day, something minor happens, like something not big, it's not a huge deal. Something else happens. And we look at it and we say, "Fuck, see, this always happens to me." And eventually what happens is you train your brain to look for anything that can fit in that square hole that you're fitting the injustices into. Does that make sense? Okay, so when you create this negative feedback loop, it is very difficult to move out of. Now, what you have to do to move out of it, the first thing I would recommend, bro, is that you do 75 hard. The reason that I recommend that you do it is because you're going to be fucking sore and you're going to be fucking tired and you're not going to have a whole lot of time to dwell on all the bad shit. All right. So a lot of times we just need distractions from shit to remind us that this shit the volume is actually way down. Okay. So when you make your life a little bit more difficult, the things that seem hard or bad actually get the volume turned down. Does that make sense? All right. So, and the key is to eventually replace this with a positive feedback. And so while you're doing 75 hard, I would ask you to visualize the whole time about all the shit you're wanting to become, who it is you're becoming, and then taking inventory and knowing every single day that you wake up, I did that yesterday, I'm better than I was yesterday. That's a big aspect of the program. I am better than I was yesterday. And I'm speaking about me. Today, I am better than I was yesterday, because yesterday I fucking did my work. Much better than I was 2 days ago or 3 days ago, because I did my work all 3 of those days. So now I get to look back and I say, well, I may not be where I want to be, but I am absolutely 100% moving in the right direction. That helps us break that negative feedback loop, okay? And then also understanding realistic expectations of life, okay? So many people go through life
if you're highly emotional, volatile, fly off the handle, a lot of mood variation, a lot of negative emotion, the first thing you might want to think about is whether or not there's actually something wrong with you. Like physically, you might be ill, because illness can do that to people, and so you should go get yourself checked out. You might have an inflammatory condition or something like that. And the next thing I would check out is like, are you sure you're not hungry? I'm dead serious about this. I mean, with many of my clients who've been anxious, like a lot of them, they come in and say, I'm so anxious. I had this one client, she'd come in and she'd say, God, I'm so dead at the end of the day. I'm just wiped out. I've got no energy at all. All I can do is lay down. She was like 24. All I can do is lay down and watch like the same movie I watched the night before. Is that normal? It's like, well, no, it's not. So, and I knew this. I said, well, what do you eat? And she said, well, I usually don't have any breakfast. And then I have like a little bowl of rice for lunch, and I usually have something like that for dinner. And I thought, you live on 2 bowls of rice a day, and you're wondering why when you come home at night after a full day's work, you don't have any energy. I said, well, have you considered the possibility that you're starving to death? If you're a volatile person, try this. Eat a high protein, high fat meal in the morning. No sugar. And a big one. Like have a steak. Have something solid. And doesn't matter if you like it. Who cares? Cook it the night before if you don't want to cook it then. Just try it for a week and see what happens. Try getting up at the same time every day. That's really important. If your sleep-wake cycle is not regular and you're a volatile person, say biochemically, genetically, having a sleep-wake cycle that's dysregulated is going to be very hard on you. So it doesn't matter quite as much when you go to bed, although it would be good to regularize that too, but at least pick a time. You can pick whatever time you want. Like I would recommend like 8 o'clock or 7:30 because that's what normal people do. And unless you have a really good reason not to be a normal person, you should start by trying to be a normal person if you're being an abnormal person. So try to get up at the same time and try that. You could combine that with eating and see, like my suspicions are 50% improvement virtually immediately with that. And then if that doesn't work, well, then there are more serious things that you can consider. Being checked out by an MD and making sure you're okay. You might want to go talk to a therapist. Number 3, talk to someone, a professional, if it's really out of hand. Because what do you want to do? You want to suffer terribly for the next 10 years? And plus, if you do have a lot of excess negative emotion, it's really hard on you psychophysiologically because you produce a lot of stress hormones, and that makes you old. So it's dangerous physically as well. And it's hard on your brain. So if you can get it fixed, fix it. And if it has to be medication, then look, man, you're going to be taking medication at some point in your damn life, because you're going to get sick. And my observation of people has been that everybody gets sick. And then what happens? This is eliminating random luck. Some people get sick and then they do everything they can to not be sick, including taking medication, doing whatever they have to, and some of them get better. And others they don't deal with it. And usually they don't get better. So you swallow your pride and you think, oh yeah, I should be able to handle my problems myself. It's like, yeah, well, maybe you should. But maybe, if you're really depressed.
So what happens is that there's a lot of negative people walking around the planet Earth who are afraid to try. Because a lot of people are very negative this way. So we are afraid to fail. Why? I told you, man, just didn't even try it. Just chill out, relax. Why are you so crazy? Why are you so obsessed? So all that stuff drives the quitting mind, I call it. The mind wants to quit. The mind's tired. The mind's deserving. The mind thinks it's very deserving. So yeah, the biggest problem in this world is other people, not yourself. It's other people in your head. They are puppet mastering much on your life. A lot of people say they don't care.
But they do.
They care like
my son says I don't care. Every time he says it, I don't care, it means he cares.
When you get to the point where you really don't care, you're dangerous. You become very, very dangerous. I'm not saying don't care like I don't care if I do that. No, when you don't care about other people and how they view you, about how you walk, how you talk, how you dress, where you want to go with your life. Growing up, I didn't want to tell anybody I wanted to be in the military. Because why? Some of my black friends, I was afraid of what they think. Why would I join this military? How the fuck do I do that shit? I was afraid of what other people thought about me. So now, when I go in the military, I know you want to fucking join the military. Yeah, I ain't telling you I'm afraid of what you thought. Once again, man, you're allowing other people to shackle your mind. It's the worst thing in the world.
Do you think you could go the other way and maybe become a bit cold if you don't care what anyone thinks? Your fiance, your kids, they're not the people around you, don't care what they think.
See, that's the thing about it. You have to have an understanding of what not caring means. If your fiance and your kids don't believe in you, can't care what they think. That means you chose the wrong support.